Welcome back.
Hi.
How have you been?
Good. We're here. We're alive.
Estamos bien, como dice
nuestro
beloved conejo. So it's been so good. We're now on episode 2.
Yeah, wow. We made it.
We made it.
We went from 1 to 2.
De la esquina to across the street. But we made it. So welcome back, listeners. We're so happy that you're back with us. If you've liked our first episode, just make sure that you continue to listen and check us out on all platforms that we're currently on. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram at the Boricua Culture Mix Pod. So, since our last recording, like I said earlier, our beloved Conejo has dropped the visuals for his next song off of Tirar Más Fotos Turista. And we knew he was going to, because if you are a Conejo follower, you know that February, his lover boy status, he's always throwing out something. Okay?
Okay, you with the...
the
tracks? Yeah.
Every February, tira algo. Sobre el amor.
That's true.
He drops an album around fall, December.
That's true. Okay.
And he drops something for the lovers.
Yep.
Around February.
Yep.
And he was hinting on it on his gram and all his socials, and he dropped the visuals for Turista. You've seen it.
I did. I watched it like 3 times.
Oh my God, it was so good.
It was very good, very good. There's a lot in this video.
And I need your point of view as the residente of la isla, y yo soy la visitante como René y su hermano. But I knew that once I seen it, I could not wait to talk to you about it, because I was like, I need Diane's perspective. I need it.
Girl.
So dígame, what did you ingest?
It's que I don't understand why he does this. But, just starting with the house. The house is very, very known, right? If you go to Condado, Ocean Park, that's como que es la casa que todo el mundo conoce.
Okay.
Right? And
it's like the heart of Little Gringolandia in the Isla.
Well, that's the first part that this where the gringos got it.
Gotcha.
I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
It's okay. So we speak messy. We'll clean it up later.
Exactly. But that's the first part of the island that actually, where
gentrified was most.
Yes, that was the first area. If you go now.
Oh no, es super. Yo fui hace 4 años con mi esposo, and you can tell the difference between el portorro que vive ahí, porque primero que te hablan.
Yes.
Buenos días, ¿cómo estás? Disfruta, estás de vacaciones, y los gringos andan como que ellos son owners of the world.
Yes.
So it was very easy to spot in that space, right? Granted, we were in Ocean Park. We were staying because I wanted to stay closer to visiting my dad's side of the family, Yabucoa.
Okay, yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that I stayed on that side to make it easier, because my family was picking me up.
Okay.
But yeah, you can definitely tell. We were going to the panaderías, and you can just tell, like I said, lo que son residentes de la isla y lo que no son, y andan como que, why are you here? Así es, como esa actitud,
exactly.
Why are you here?
Exactly. And even in the visuals, right? How this family leaves the house. They don't care. They don't take care of it, right? They had a good ass time in the island. But, they see the pretty of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
After that, they don't see what's going on the island. They don't know what the island is going through.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think that representation of what he did in this video is I was like, wow. And using Valentine's to grab people's attention with it.
Absolutely. And it's so funny that you brought up, like, people don't care what's going on. Because, yes, in one part, you are going on vacation because you're disassociating from whatever nonsense that you're going through in your life. However, there is this place that you're going to that has its own set of issues, its own set of trials. And I think that that's what always bothered me about people who would go to Puerto Rico or who would look at Latinos as like, oh, y'all are so festive, y'all are so this and you're so that. And it's like, you don't see our pain. You don't see our struggle. If you see us all, with the ting and the funniness and the fun and all that, you never get to see us as we are. Like, for instance, when it's like, even the refran, like Black Girl Magic or things like that, like, if you see me magical, you'll never see me as a human.
Correct.
And therefore, you'll never see me in my full autonomy of everything that I go through.
Exactly.
And so, like, I think that's at the core. I've always been bothered by folks that go to, like, Latino countries or Puerto Rico, and it's just like, oh, yeah, I had a great time, the music, the this and the that. And it's like, okay, I get it. You're going on vacation, and no, you're not going there to be an anthropologist and, like, figure out what's going on. But there's so much that's at a deeper level. And like you said on the visuals, like, they left that place a mess, which, by the way, never in my life, because them cleaning fees are real.
That's what I was saying. like, was this Airbnb or like was this like on
this is a different
table?
level of privilege, right? This is a completely different level of privilege.
Yeah.
Because again, we're gonna go and we're gonna have a good ass time, but we're gonna follow the rules of whatever that house is set, because we don't have it like that to be, assess additional fees.
Correct.
But if you have this other level of privilege where it's like it's somebody else's problem.
You're right.
They don't care.
Exactly. They don't care. It was for them. It might have been a cheap, vacation. I was like, yeah, all the fees charged to the card.
Exactly.
I don't care.
Exactly.
But it's also of the matter of like they use the house to show. Again, like, people go and have a great ass time, and when you go to another country and you have fun, but you don't want to follow the rules because you think that you are, you're on vacation, you're leaving, so you don't have to care.
This is temporary.
Exactly. So him using the house and how they left the house, and it's like how us as Puerto Rican had to pick the pieces together, right?
Limpiarle la mierda.
Exactly. Yeah. And even like in the visuals of how he's fixing the plumbing issue in the house.
Because you only see the prettiness.
Correct.
You only see the prettiness.
Exactly. We're doing what we can with what we have. And you can see it in the video. And I was like, wow. The first time I saw it, I was like, whoa, I need to see this again. Because it has so much detail and like symbolism, that's how you say it, that I was like, no way. There's a part where, when he's fixing the plumbing issue, and it's like, you're putting a patch because it's what we are able to do with what we have,
right.
And for somebody else to come and enjoy, we're giving the what we have to this people, and they're not even taking care of it.
Or even a step further, desde principio que entra a la casa, barely acknowledged, right? Like, there's just like, you're beneath me, you're coming here to clean up. There's not that interaction. You can tell that he came in with a warm spirit that is Puerto Riqueño, right? That is very como está. He's coming in, and it's like there's barely that acknowledgement, and he's there to do this job.
Exactly.
I noticed that very early on when I watched it the first time, being like, Diablo, es que la gente en sí really don't see each other. And let's take Puerto Rico and that visual out, but how many times did you say hello to the maintenance person? Or
Absolutely.
Say hello to the cleaning person at your job, right? Very simple things like that. Like, acknowledge folks for who they are and not because of the title that they presume to have.
Yes.
Presume.
Yes.
You know the word.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, it's just sad that we are living in these times where, everybody that goes to the island, or us as Latinos, we tend to be very homey, right? And como que aceptamos a todo el mundo.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh my God, they're so nice. They were like, saying hi, and like whatever they had, they were giving. When you go to a friend's house, what's the first thing that
They're offering you something to drink, something to
exactly, eat.
Yo soy una que te voy a hacer café, rapidito.
Oh, that Wilma's coffee. Yes.
If ever you've been...
That is, you know.
If ever you've had a cup of coffee, know that I love you.
My God.
And
that's
if you
right.
haven't, there's a waiting list.
You're right. You're right. And listen, eso es como que VIP. You have to be in the VIP list.
But you know, like I said, we're welcoming, right? We were, and also too, like that's part of our wife training as young Latina women. That you are the hostess. You're making you're tasked with making your space inviting.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't want to be the one that people call and be like, "Ay, esta maceta ni me ofreció agua, que si esto y lo otro." Yeah. That's not what you want to be as a good Puerto Rican homemaker.
Exactly. No, and not even, you know, the woman also, you know, everybody.
Yeah.
Like you can go and it could be, you know, your dad, your brother, anybody that you bring to the house, like, hi, you know, comite. Like you need, no quieres comida, quieres algo de beber. Like they're always welcoming, right? And you know, it's kind of sad to see that, you know, that gets
taken advantage of.
Exacto. No le dan tanta importancia.
Do you think that that's something that we have to change as a culture, like moving forward?
Absolutely. I think we have to bring that. Like I think we talked in the first episode of like we get accustomed to the places that we're in, right? And I think that we have to bring who we are at our core, and sometimes we can get very misleading.
Yeah.
To think that yo tengo que cambiar para fit in,
right?
Yeah. And that's so sad that has to happen. It's like, no, this is me, this is who I am, and you know, yes, I'm gonna respect, and because a lot of people that I see is like, you know, comments about like the Puerto Rico situation when folks moving to the island. It's like, bueno, pero ustedes se van para la U.S. y hacen lo que quieran. I was like, I have to disagree because a lot of people come here and they follow the rules, even the rules that they don't follow in Puerto Rico. Like you as a Puerto Rican, tú vas en Puerto Rico y cualquiera se come la luz, right? Do it over here. Nobody's going to do it. Why? Because there's repercussions. There's rules that we have to follow.
And you don't know the language.
Exactly.
Therefore, you can't really defend yourself.
Correct.
So there's this like switch in your mind where it's like, oh, I have to operate differently.
Correct.
Because la cosa tan seria aquí.
Yes.
And mind you, we're also thinking about, are you the first one to leave and be here? You might be by yourself, right? Or you don't want to be a burden to the family that you are joining.
Yeah.
And making sure that they don't have to use their limited resources on your estupideces.
Exacto. Yeah. No, and also too, it's respect.
Yeah.
It's respect. We come from a culture that we respect, you know, others, and we always like, we're welcoming, but you know, you have to respect the island the same way that we come here and we respect the United States. You know what I mean? And
pero es que la isla no se deja de respetar tampoco.
You're right.
Especialmente en esas like places of tourism. Like you can tell that. Por ejemplo, la gringuita that burned la barra a few months ago, right?
Yes.
One, she should have never been able to do that because she should have been detained from the very beginning from being a nuisance.
Correct.
So now these few companies have lost their livelihood due to that negligence. And you can tell that the police is like just trying to diffuse the situation for the night. Just trying to get her to go away. And it's like, no, like this person needs to be enacted in a way that, hey, you're not following the rules here, we're going to detain you, right? Incluso like other countries, you act a fool, they locking your ass up.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna find out real quick what language or culture meets. They don't care that you're American. Right. You showed your ass, now go to jail.
Exactly.
And so I'm glad that she was extradited and she has those consequences.
Yep.
But desde principio, la policía debe tener esa like enforcement to be like, no. Oh, you're talking about you're leaving tomorrow? That's fine. We're gonna detain you and we'll release you. We'll give you VIP treatment to the airport.
No,
but you're staying your ass in jail tonight.
But it goes back to, I think you mentioned it earlier about like, they might have not know how to speak English, right? Y lo más probable, they didn't want to like be the person that has to be here translating to somebody that you don't know the language first, and second of all, it's a legal issue too.
Yeah.
So.
Pero tú sabes que se joda, porque this country don't care about you. No, en serio. You come over to this country is not caring about what language you speak. Tú hiciste algo rapidito. And it's like we give so much grace to like these tourists that are showing their asses, making Puerto Ricans' lives on the island hell. Mm-hmm. Especialmente the COVID forward, because they were showing their ass since then. Lost their damn home training somewhere. Mm-hmm. And it's like, who cares?
It's like because they're leaving. They're not staying, right? It's lo mismo que está diciendo Bad Bunny. It's like, yo, like, if you're coming here, you have to respect this, right? Mm-hmm. Because when I go to your country, I respect your country. Mm-hmm. Y es lo mismo. Es como que yo creo que es más bien para que nosotros como cultura tengamos que poner eso como priority.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
That no. You're gonna respect this, right? Yeah. And you can pay 20 fees. I'm like, no, but if you do that, there has to be repercussions.
Yeah, I want you to remember your trip because you showed your ass and yo, don't play. Puerto Rico don't play over there. That's what I want to hear.
Exactly.
From you gringos that come here and show your ass.
Exactly.
Tú sabes que beautiful country, great food. Also, don't show your ass.
Exactly.
Because they be on that ass.
Yep.
That's what I want to hear moving forward.
Yes. No,
but it starts with the structure of the country of its own, right? And I think that one thing I want to continue to move forward is that Puerto Rico is a country.
It is.
And I think that it gets lost with the Commonwealth status. Mm-hmm. Pero es un país. No es un estado.
Exacto.
Es un país.
Yep.
And just like you'll go to RD and not show your ass, just like you'll go to Mexico and not show your ass.
Yep.
Because them federales will get you real quick.
They would.
Gather you real quick.
You're right.
I want that same standard.
Yes.
I want that same standard. Y especialmente en sitios como Dorado, Ocean Park, where we know there is an influx of tourism, that means that you're going to have to beef up your authority with the language, right?
We have to do it now, because if we don't do it now, van a llegar al campo. Y están llegando al campo.
Exacto.
You know? And that's the thing. Is like now they're moving out of like Ocean Park, Condado, Dorado. You know, now they're seeing, they can go to Ayuya,
Ayuya, con esa montaña, Dios mío.
But it's a totally different view than what you have in Rincon, right? Like, they're even in Rincon. Rincon, you go and
Rincon.
It's Gringoland. I'm sorry to say it like that, but it is. Like, you go there and it's like, wow, like, ¿qué esto? I'm scared for culebras, yeques. Once they get in there, that's going to be very, very scary.
But it's an invasion in itself, right? Because that's what gentrification is. It's this invasion of this space that you never deemed valuable until now, and then you want to push out. And the frustration of it all is like, they're doing it with the beaches, and we barely have spaces of our own. Like, I remember going there from when I was 6 years old till now and being a complete difference. And even when I was 6 years old, my dad telling me like, wow, this has changed from the time that he left as a child, right? Yeah. And just the continuation. And my fear is that por más que seguimos aquí, they're still not going to be what we remember this to be. Mm-mm. And that's the sad part of it all.
And I don't want people to think like, wow, ustedes creen que, que quieren que Puerto Rico no, like, madure or, like, sea mejor or evolucione. And it's not about that. I think it's more of us caring for our country.
Yeah.
We have to care for our country. Hay mucha
Pero
gente...
cuando tú tienes, I'm sorry to cut you off, pero cuando tú tienes la mentalidad que Papá América, que Papá América es que te cuida, que Papá América es que por eso tú estás comiendo, por eso tenemos infraestructura. Like, if that's a mentality we really have to wash out from our people.
Yeah.
Because they truly believe, no, que sin América esto se va peor. La gente va a morir. Oye, la gente se está muriendo ahora.
Yeah. No, it's true.
La gente se está yendo de la isla ahora. We have professionals who cannot make a living there, who are leaving in record numbers.
Yep. What happened with the doctors? The last group of doctors that just graduated. they left the island because
and even,
they can't work.
Even
There's
teachers.
no work.
I have a friend who literally left after Huracán Maria because she could not make a living there. She moved up, state from state here, but she could not make a living there as an educator.
Yeah.
Those are all things that a society needs to flourish.
Absolutely.
And there is an undercutting on purpose. And I think that the lack of education really, really is evident in how people are recognizing or not recognizing what is needed. And so I'm glad that a figure like Bad Bunny can make it palatable through art.
Yes.
And in that 2-3 minute song, hey, say like, yo, y'all are visiting here, but this place here has a real fundamental need that your 3-5 day vacation, there's so much more that happens here. Hasta cuando al fin del video, when se fue la luz.
Yeah.
I was like, qué bueno.
Yeah.
¿Qué le pasa?
Yeah.
The true Puerto Rican experience.
Exactly. Yeah. But it goes back. It's like, it's okay. Like, I don't want this to be seen as like, oh, nosotros no queremos que ninguno gringo vayan a la isla. I don't think that's the goal, right? I think here is that if you go, you work towards the island be better and also respecting the island.
Pero tú sabes que, Diane, es que that's really hard because there's a certain group of folks, and I want people to know that gringo means non-Latino at this point, right? Like, not just white, but gringo is non-Latino in respect of this conversation. But they go everywhere with the expectation that you're just supposed to speak to them in English, that they get to do no prep for where they're going. You're just supposed to roll out the red carpet for them. And I think that that's a bigger thing that I don't know that we can just ask for general respect, because I also think that these folks don't even respect the land that they live and that they come from.
Yeah.
So there is this aspect of we're asking folks who do not see anyone other than themselves as worthy of respect.
Bueno, pues nosotros tenemos que enseñarle que aquí se respeta.
Exacto.
Que el puertorriqueño se respeta.
Exacto.
Que Puerto Rico se respeta. Because if that's the case, then, I understand that there's a lot of people that are not, que no van a seguir las reglas. Eso se entiende. I think we have that even
in our own country.
In our own country. Pero es más bien nosotros darnos a respetar como lo que somos. Somos un país que da mucho fruto, da mucho talento. Tenemos al artista número 1 global y es de la pequeña isla de Puerto Rico.
Archipelago perfecto.
Yes. So with that, we don't want to continue talking more and more here because we could be here for hours.
Girl.
We need to talk about something.
So we'll switch it off. So transitioning off to our next topic that we wanted to discuss, we saw this clip from St. John being interviewed on the Angela Yee's show podcast discussing his experience living in Puerto Rico. I had my reaction. Diane had her reaction. So let's just take a listen.
And that's been a real thing. The images you see on TV.
It's loud, active, and very present. Even when you think of Latin artists, you don't think of nobody that don't look whitish.
Right, you're right.
And I'm like, that ends up being, that's an amplification of whatever's happening on a small scale, right? You look at the things that represent the culture that we consume, and you're like, oh, this is Latin culture. Show me what it's about. Give me a demo of it. And you see a slideshow, you don't see people of varying color, you start thinking that only that exists and only that should be celebrated because that's the only thing that they're allowing to be celebrated.
Like in the telenovelas, they say it's all like white-looking Puerto Ricans and Hispanic people on those.
Yeah, same thing in the musicianship. There's black artists you never hear about them.
Right.
And then
that's always been an issue in some of the reggaeton videos. It's like, where's all the brown-skinned women in the videos?
The Afro-Latinas, where's the representation from them or for them? It's just not present. And then when you get there and you live in the land,
that's when you really feel it. Yeah.
You feel the absence of it. Like they almost look.
So that's a lot, right? That's a lot to take in. I know how I felt when I first heard it, and I had to sit with it for a second. I'm going to pass it off to Diane to give you a perspective, and then I'll come back in with mine.
No, I think like I think I had the same experience similar to you. Like the first one I was like, no. Like no. I didn't agree, right? Because I come from the island, so I think my perspective it's a little bit different. Because I saw, artists like Teo Calderon. I saw how we're very known for La Bomba y La Plena. And that comes from an area of Puerto Rico that, it might not be commercialized, I would say, until like Bad Bunny made it commercialized. Now that, like we were saying about like everybody wants to be a jibaro, right? Everybody wants to know, learn how to dance la salsa. Everybody wants to know more about La Bomba y La Plena. So I think that for me was, I was like, no, like if you're living in the island, and I think he's kind of says it in his speech as well, or his opinion about like how he doesn't see it in the musicianship. In the music, exactly. But also you're living in the island, so you're seeing it.
And he's a black man, right?
Absolutely.
So we are both Latinas. You can't see us, but Diane, pelo roja, su peca. I am more mestiza, like a little bit of caramel color. So we don't have that black man experience.
Correct.
Whether on the island or in the States. So that's his true feelings. And we can't argue with no one's feelings, because that's how you feel. I think that one thing that me and Josie were saying, like off the pod, while we were like looking into the research of the topics, I had to sit with myself of why it made me uncomfortable. Everything he has said, I have felt. But it was like, oh no. This is someone who's outside of the culture calling us out. And I think that's what set like icky with me. But it's true. When Angela Yee, I done messed that woman's name up. Sorry to that woman. When Angela, otra vez, con Yee, I'm going to call her Mrs. Yee. When Yee points out the telenovelas, I had those exact thoughts growing up as a kid, right? All of these very European-centric looking Latinas. And anytime a native or a black person comes on the camera, they're the comedic relief, right? There's this bulando of that ethnicity and that culture. That is racism in systematic form. When he's talking about the musicianship part, Josie was like, pero tengo Calderon. That's not St. John's culture. That's not his generation. So he's not going to sit here and know that Tego is that guy, right? He's looking at it from the present form. And from the present form, we know that reggaeton has been super commercialized, super whitewashed, right? We've talked about this in episode 1 with the Rosalias and the Karol G's of the world. And even the romantic phase of reggaeton, where it was like, this is how we're going to make this more palatable, more economical for the genre. And that is by bleaching out the true essence of the culture, which is the African existence of it, right? Even with Bomba en Plena, we know that these two genres exist, but the reason it's not super on a higher scale is because of its African roots. It is because some white Latino did not come up with it. This came from resistance. This came from esclavitud. This came from hardship, right? And so when he's talking about what that is, I can recognize and understand his stance as one, he's coming in as a black man. So no, I'm not going to say I understand what it's like to be a black man, because never lived that life, never lived that shoes. But as he's presenting us, this is his experience. That's number one. Because again, Puerto Ricanos are very warm and we have a loving thing, but what happens when you're just a little too dark? Rapidito la negrita. Rapidito mi morena. And although we're saying this as endearing things in our space, it is still very much calling out the color of our skin. It's very much calling out that we are othered in some capacity. So it becomes this like pointing it out. So I think for us, that's probably why we felt some type of way, is because here is somebody who isn't Puerto Riqueño or who isn't fully Latino. Because I know he's from the islands, if I'm not mistaken. I think he said he was trying to mimic a life in Guyana. it's someone's calling us out, right? It's not, the call is not coming in from inside the home, it's coming from outside the home.
Yeah.
And you want to simply protect the culture, but the truth is,
exactly,
the critique is real.
Yeah, I think that first time when I heard, I was like, no, like I will put so much, just not justification, I would say, but kind of, because for me it's like, no, we have all these artists, we have Zion Lennox, you know, we have representation in the music, right? But when you see it from the
Outside perspective.
exactly, I had to like put myself out,
Yeah.
and I was like, ooh, like you said, like it, you have to like, me están llamando like me están diciendo que mi
Exactly.
cultura
Pa'l frente.
exacto.
Exactly.
It's like, girl, mira lo que está pasando aquí desde este punto de vista. So, you know, yeah, I still will fight. I was like, no, but you know what, like, listen to this artist, listen to this person. We have like La Bomba La Plena, right? Like how big it is, but also, like you said, like no llamar, like
Le llamaron la atención. Whether we
right.
wanted to or not.
Yeah, yeah.
And please excuse the microwave. Our third co-host, Baby J, needs her bottle. So she gets very hangry when she's not fed. So we're going to respect her feeding time. Because again, we are two real-ass people recording in a real-life situation. And so we get... Because I'm going to manifest it. Fuck it. We're going to have a studio eventually.
There
but
you
as
go.
for now, we are recording from a real-ass home.
Es criollo. Estamos bien criolla.
But
Bien
yeah,
criollo.
I think that's what made me very like the hard sitting fact of it all was like, yo, he said no lies. He has said everything that I have had critique of our culture in itself. Even Vive Boricua, which is like the official Puerto Rico tourism.
Yeah.
And you see all these freaking gringos in
You're
the ads.
Yeah.
And if you know where Boricua comes from, you know that the island was called Borinque, and you know to be fully Puerto Rican and really be like, oh my gosh, I love this island. It's to call yourself Boricua. And to see this whitewash ad of, hey, come over here, you're basically doing all of that erasure. And now to live with that as a Afrocentric presenting person, they're going to feel that. So one, I originally was like, okay, I cannot deny his existence and his real life events.
Yeah.
And he's in an industry that we know whitewashes regardless, right? Even in English standard music, there's a lot of whitewashing of these cultures' originality in a way that they're doing to ours as well.
Yeah.
So it was like he has a stance on this that's real. He's coming from a real perspective. He wasn't calling us out because bueno, I heard. No, this is his
he's
real
living
life
it,
existence.
right.
Exactly.
He has that experience, right? And that's why for me I was like, wow, but you are experiencing it in the island. But then seeing, like you said, like seeing it from someone else's perspective is the same way that we do, right?
Yeah.
When we're like, no, we have to protect our country, we have to protect our culture. It's like, wow, like we have to do that.
There's a lot of work to be done, right?
Exactly.
There's a lot of work to be done. And I think that, again, I think as of the culture, it bothered us that it wasn't like a Molusco or Chente that was saying it. It was this person who does not identify as Latino saying, hey, Latinos, y'all got some stuff with y'all. That it's not like that we don't know, because colorism is a real thing.
Yeah, it is.
Racism is a real thing. I know America likes to believe that that's their own issue. No. It's not your racism. You just have your own flavor of it.
Yep.
It's definitely sprinkled. Every boat stop that it went on, it left its mark.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that we don't get to see it as much because we are living in a more homogeneous society in Puerto Rico where like everybody's having the same language and like, okay, so it's not like necessarily outsiders and us, but it's different when it's America and there's a clear division. Whereas with Puerto Rico, we like to live with a little bit of blinders on. It's like, no es porque es negrito or you're that. And it's like, no, it is. There's a reason why Loíza looks the way it is. There's a reason why Dorado looks the way it is. There's these things in motion that are on purpose the same way. There's a reason why Camden looked the way it did, the way Baltimore looked the way it did, the way Chicago looked the way it did. These things are by design, right? And we talk about these systematic things in place. So again, from de la isla de la diáspora, we share those same issues.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And it's like, pero ¿cómo nosotros podemos hacer algo? ¿Qué nosotros podemos hacer?
We got to get uncomfortable with we have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
We have to, because as much as we love our culture, we have to also know that there's some shit with it too.
Heck yeah.
There's some shit with it too, and we have to recognize that these are real life as experiences, and as much as we love this island and we love the culture and we love the language and we love the food, there's some shit with it. And if we're going to really sit there and say this is our own, we gotta own the bad shit too.
Absolutely.
And that's the only way that we can be holding other people accountable. La abuelita who's like, oh, que no daña la raza, que don't date outside your race, and with mad kinky hair.
Yep.
And mad dark skin, que no daña la raza. Explícame. Con los bembe bien bembao. With the nostrils smelling all of the sofrito ingredients.
Wow.
Talking about no dañar la raza. Mi cielo ya está dañado. Con tu presencia nada más. But in serio, right? It's calling out your family members, right? When they say these awful things, because these are the things that have been passed down to them.
Yeah, and it's normalized.
Right.
It hasn't been normalized in the how it is passed down. Right?
Or even I'll give you one, la identidad latina. Yo no soy negro. Mi cielo, lo eres.
Yeah.
Afro Latino.
Yeah.
Pero lo eres, right? And it's this drinking of the Kool-Aid that you're going to be more palatable if you assimilate to this weird whiteness that you want to obtain, not understanding that you ain't them.
Ooh.
You ain't them. You ain't never gonna be them. And they will utilize you.
Aye.
Baby, they will utilize you
Aye,
always. But you ain't them. And you get to do that dirty work for free. Because the thing about white supremacy is it don't always come in a hood. It don't always come in a white face. It's so embedded in our culture that we do their bidding for them. When we think that we're so much better de eso ahí que no tienen papeles. Then we think that we're so better de lo otro puertorriqueño because we're lighter. No, me cielo. It's the same shit. You uphold those principles of white supremacy and ain't no Billy Bob telling you what to do. You ate it. You ate it.
Aye.
So I think to your point, Diane, we have to recognize the fuckery too. And we got to get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah. No,
that it's not always maracas y güiros over here.
No, yeah.
That
Que no todo es fiesta.
it's
Que no
not
todo es
the
fiesta.
fiesta.
No, you're right.
And that's also why people get to come to that, and to bring a full circle. That's also why people can come to that and do fuck shit, because there's the skin that they're in. Right? It's this gringo that is like, oh, I'm really not supposed to push this authority on you because I've been taught you are the authority just simply of how you look.
Oh. Ay. No, Wilma. Tú estás caliente.
Fuego.
Esto está ardiendo.
But this is the critique that we need, right? Because we both heard the clip, we both sent it to each other, and we both felt some type of way.
Yeah,
and we
I was like,
didn't know why.
No, I was like, for the pod, we need to talk about this. You know what I mean? I was like, what? What is he
Which,
saying?
by the way, me and Josie be sending stuff to each other for the pod all the time.
All the time.
It's the only way we can keep up with what we're going to talk about.
And speaking of that, we want to introduce something to the pod.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more of what that is?
But of course I can. So I was on the gram and I saw this this meme that was like, tell me your cuero story or something like that. And I was just like, yo, I do want to be hearing about your, like, how did you become a cuero? Like, I want to know. And to know me is to low-key be like, I'm a feminista at heart. And for those who might think feminist is this dirty word, let me just assure you what feminism is. It's not just equality amongst the sexes. It is the autonomy to make the choice that you want to make as a woman. So if you want to be a trad wife, God bless you. Be the trad wife. But if I want to be a career woman, I want that choice too, right? I don't want to take your capabilities. Yo, if you want to make apple pie from scratch and have 74 children, God bless you. Just don't take my right away to live the life the way I want to. That is what feminism is about. It's about the autonomy to make choices outside of a patriarchal lens. That I don't need some man to do for me. That I can make choices. That I can do this thing and live a life fully as the woman that I am and want to be. And you not get in my way.
Pero ven acá. Tú me estás dando mucha información aquí. ¿De qué estamos hablando?
Because this is where it's going to lead to the Chronicles, Cuero Chronicles segment, right? I want you guys to either send in your dating advice or send in your Cuero story. Because to me, I find Cuero to not be the derogatory term that people want it to be. I think women really need to date in a space that makes sense for them. Just like when you are trying to find a job, apply that same logic to your date. You don't just apply to one job. You apply to many. So you don't just date one person. You date many people until eventually the perfect candidate presents himself.
Okay.
But that means that you have to have criteria.
What criteria?
You need to have standards.
Dime lo que necesitamos.
You need to have preferences. And know that standards and preferences are not the same.
Pero espérate. You're
Okay?
giving gems over here.
Because I prefer a man without children. Right? Preferences can be interchangeable. However, you present to yourself as an upstanding man who's taking care of his responsibilities, I can mend that criteria and give you a chance.
Oh.
A standard isn't mendable.
Okay.
I don't date men who hit me. Non-negotiable.
Exactly.
That's the difference between a standard and a preference. And I think a lot of women and men, because we're not just going to single out women, because men can be cueros too. They're the original of the cuero. I think that folks date in a space where women can tend to put all of their eggs in one basket in this one person. Instead
Pero
of,
tú crees que todavía estamos así?
I think so. I think that
Okay.
there is a sense of like we have not decentered men out of our lives fully, right?
Okay.
Because and I think that it is shifting.
Okay.
I do think that it is shifting, but I don't think that it is this sense of because when we present that way, now we become looked at as masculine.
Yeah. No.
Instead of just
O
being
tú
like,
eres
I have
muy-
standards.
Right. No, not even masculine. Como que, like, tú eres muy fuerte para mí.
It's still
Right.
masculine, right?
Well, yeah, sure.
Still masculine
Yeah.
because you're supposed to be soft and dainty and I'm supposed to be the protector.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to take care of you.
That's true.
And you don't even know how to change a tire.
Pero ven acá, cuéntame un poquito más. Like,
So we want you guys to go to the Boricua Culture Mix email, which is boricuaculturemix@gmail.com, and write your story of either, hey, how did you become a cuero? Or B, if you need some dating advice, right?
Yes.
If you need to discuss, like, how exactly do we do the standards? How we do the preference? Or I'm in this relationship, should I still be in it? Or I want to fix some things because, you know, not everything needs to be thrown in the trash. Sometimes we can fix some things. So, yes, we definitely want you to give us your cuero story or give us your cuero in transition story. But I'm a cuero advocate. I truly believe that when in dating, one, make it fun, right? Like, I think we don't need to date everybody and be like, are you my husband? Like, maybe sometimes it's just a date.
yeah, okay. So somebody that is out there that is looking for starting dating, what do you recommend? What is Wilma's tip?
Oh, that's a
the
good one.
cuero tip.
So my first cuero tip is define your definition of what love is. I think that a lot of times we're out here and we're just dating because we want the sense of someone, which is okay. And I want us to understand that I don't want people to feel bad because they want someone. No, we are designed not to be islands. We are designed to be in community and in relationship,
Yes.
right? But I want you to honestly, first tip would be define what does love mean to you. When you have that definition, then that is the springboard to your standards,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Because you know what you want or you know what you don't want, right? If you've been in situations where you know, the man haven't done these little things like buy you flowers or take time for you, or, you know, or for some women, like in my instance, I dated a lot of men who knew that they liked me, but didn't know how to take the next step. So we wasted a lot of time in situationships because they were too selfish to let me go.
Ooh.
They knew
And
that
that
they
happens a
liked.
lot.
They knew that they liked me enough that they didn't want someone else to enjoy me. And it wasn't until in hindsight I was able to understand that for myself.
Okay.
That when I really was like, oh no, when I'm dating now for a purpose, you can't play about me.
Right.
I need you to know
From the
and
start.
show me. Not even from the start, but I need you to know that what is your dating preference. If you're dating for fun, that's great. Go have fun with someone else. Because I'm dating for real right now.
Oh, okay.
So align with me.
Got it.
Right? And not be afraid to be like, oh, this date isn't going to lead to that. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's okay to walk away.
Yeah.
So to go back to your original point, definitely define what love means to you.
Yeah.
And recognize that, because we all know we all have grown up in different attachments and different homes where we didn't see that. Because for you, it might be, I want to be held, right? I want to have public display of affections of hand holding and caressing, or for some women who've done the heavy lifting in their relationships all the time, I want someone who's going to let me turn my brain off.
Yeah.
And start doing and making the decisions and date me for real. Like not sit there and tell me, oh, what you want to do. No, you got my attention. I already told you I'm available Friday at 7:00. If I have to give you the idea, I'm dating myself.
Right.
You're just here.
Yeah.
You're just here.
No, that is true. That is true. You know, and I think it's like, for example, you know, when you date and you are bien independiente, es difícil. Tú como que
Let that guard
let
down.
that guard down.
Yeah.
You know? Y eso es bien, pero bien difícil.
Yeah. And it's also like learning when to do that, because you can't do that with everyone.
No.
So you definitely have to work on that discernment and that intuition, and recognize that. And so I think that for a lot of folks, sometimes they're close to it and they tend to overlook some things that they probably could have like peered into. I know. ¿Quién están llamando?
Oh,
And two real ass people recording in a real life situation. But yes, we definitely want to hear your cuero stories. So please email us again at boricuaculturemix@gmail.com and just send us, if you have dating advice, or, I want to know your origin cuero story. Like, how did you become that? Like, let us know. Let us know. I love this for us.
es que nosotros somos bochinchosas, somos metidas.
Listen, I am a reformed cuero. Okay, I'm married. So I have some gems for you. I can also live through you. Go out here and live your most.
We're here to help.
We're here to help. We're here to listen. We're not here to judge.
No.
Judge-free zone. Judge-free zone como Planet Fitness that I don't go to. However,
Anuncio
they
no
still
pagado.
charge me.
Anuncio no pagado.
But definitely, please, this is a segment we want to present on the pod through your stories. I will be unleashing little gems of mine as well from time to time.
I love that.
Because I want you to have
Saca papel y lápiz.
I want you to have a happy and safe dating life. And
You deserve it.
you deserve it.
Absolutely.
Like I said, you don't just apply to one job at a time. Why are you just dating somebody's dusty ass son? Like, there's a bunch of dusties. You just have to figure out which less dusty one you want to deal with.
Well, on that note.
On that note, we are going to end the pod. And where can they find us at, Josie?
They can find us on social. I think on TikTok, Instagram, under the Boricua Culture Mix.
Pod.
Mm-hmm. Pod?
Yep.
Pod
Get it
on
pod.
Instagram?
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, it's the first one that we're mentioning it.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, second. Oh.
Yeah, listen, it is what it is. It's the Boricua Culture Mix Pod.
It's a mom brain on me.
And our third co-host, Baby J, is out here being very demanding.
Yes.
So, yes, it's the Boricua Culture Mix Pod. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram. And you can email us at boricuaculturemix@gmail.com. And we are on what 2 platforms?
In Apple Pod and Spotify.
Okay. We out here.
So please follow us. Send us your recommendations. What topics should we talk here on the podcast?
For sure. And listen to us every Tuesday.
Yes.
We will be out.
Faithfully.
Ya tú sabes, consistently. Because we're moving with audacity this
Exactly.
year. Like, we brought it from Costco
There
in
you
bulk.
go. Not in bulk.
So, see you next time, love bugs.
Bye.
Peace.